Hi guys, and welcome to your weekly horoscope. This horoscope is for Monday the 16th of August going through until Sunday the 22nd of August 2021. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today as always. I'm going to give you a rundown of what the planets are doing and how you can expect the energy to look this week, and then what you can focus on to take advantage of the good supportive energy that you get, and how you can minimize the kind of pitfalls and problems and challenges that you may face. The thing that jumped out at me again and again this week is that you really have access to an amazingly critical mindset that allows you to work with information, to break it down, to assess it, to make sense of things, and to create meaning. So you're able to look at the fine print, and you have the patience and the presence of mind to really get into very specific details, and then you can resolve issues and be done with them once and for all. That's on the plus side. On the downside, I think there is a tendency this week to suffer with information overload and to become overwhelmed. And there could be situations where it's like, wow, this is so involved. I'm going to have to analyze this so intensely that I don't even want to bother. It's just too much. So it's almost too much of a good thing. So try and manage that and use it to your advantage. Use it in areas of your life that are problematic, where you can really focus and solve them. But if you have a tendency to kind of self-criticize, for instance, then really just take a moment and commit to yourself that, do you know what, this week I'm going to be nice to myself. And if I do feel like I'm not good enough or I'm falling short, then I will be there for myself. I will be kind to myself, because that there is potential to be self-critical, and it's not helpful. Self-criticism doesn't encourage you to keep going, usually. Usually it stops you dead in your tracks and it puts you off and you stagnate. The way to get things moving again and to encourage yourself is to be loving and supportive. So I don't want to get into a big discussion about criticism here. I'll get on with the horoscope in a second. But there is a time and a place for criticism. We need it to improve. But if it's taken the wrong way, if it touches a personal nerve, or if it's malicious and not constructive, then often it can have the opposite effect. So it's a very personal, often complicated thing that you have to, well, you don't have to do anything, but it's helpful to be in a good space when you do get criticism so you can implement it constructively. If you're not in a good place, then it can become a personal insult, and then it's like, oh, well, I can't do this anyway. So that's kind of the theme this week, so just be aware of that. And it's good news for all the accountants and all the people who work with intricate detail and crafting and x-rays and really specifics where you have to make sense of things. You guys are going to love this week because your powers are going to be honed and supercharged. So details aren't going to get by you this week. All right. So Monday the 16th, let's get started. We've got Venus going into Libra first and foremost. Venus is the planet of love, beauty, and creativity. It rules Taurus and Libra. When it's in Taurus, it's about physical love and beauty and design and adapting your environment. In Libra, it's like the notion of love, and it's poetry, and it's things that are abstract. It's also physical beauty, but it's more about the ideals. So it's about connection and fairness and diplomacy. So we're entering this season where you're able to appreciate the kind of finer things in life, the more poetic side of the human experience. Mercury is also in a sign that it rules. It's in Virgo. So Mercury has two settings. It's Gemini and Virgo. When it's in Virgo, information comes in and it likes to analyze things. So that's partially why you're so able to work through info. It quincunxes Saturn in Aquarius, so there may be a reluctance to just take everything on board. You may feel like, do you know what? Why am I always the one listening? And why are you telling me this? You may be overly critical in what you're receiving, and it may also kind of spill over into your relationships. You may be very critical of everything on Monday and not really trust things. Sagittarius moon, that's interesting because that's very different. That's about, I want to be carefree and I want to have adventures and have fun. That squares Mercury in Virgo. So do I have fun or do I analyze things and make sense of things? Mars in Virgo, and it trines Chiron in Aries. So there is a sense that information is key. Knowledge is power. So if I learn this and I turn it into something that I can teach myself, then I'll be able to help myself. I'll be able to heal myself. I'll be able to make everything okay. So information is really put on a pedestal on Monday, and Mercury and Mars and Chiron are saying you need to get as much info as you can if you want to heal your life. But it's a bit too much, I think, because it causes conflict between, do I want to be carefree and just kind of go through my day and live in the moment, or do I want to make sense of everything? And in my experience, it's very difficult to make sense of everything. And also the promise that everything is going to be okay if only you analyze seems a little bit iffy. So just be careful with that. I would say, again, use that critical ability in your work and in practical areas of your life where you can actually use it to resolve things. But when it comes to yourself or fixing your whole life, then just be very careful, because it just seems too much of a good thing. The Sagittarius moon sextiles Saturn in Aquarius, and it quincunxes Uranus and Taurus. So you may be frustrated that other people don't want to do things with you, that they don't want to have fun, that everyone's very focused on what they're doing right now. And again, there may also be things that just seem like they're too much, too chaotic to analyze. So it's quite an extreme in terms of do I, don't I. Overall, with Venus in Libra, there is the potential for new relationships and new connections and new love. So try and look outside of yourself on top of being so analytical and making sense of what's going on. Because of the focus on every detail, you may be lacking a lot of trust on Monday, and you may second guess things. So use that as well to your advantage, but use it appropriately. If there's someone you absolutely do trust and suddenly that trust is gone, then it's likely to be you who has moved in terms of the trust levels rather than the relationship actually changing. So again, I would say take that with a grain of salt on Monday, that you're not in this space of, I feel love for, the entire brotherhood of humanity and I trust everybody, which is fine to a certain degree. Okay, so there may be conflict between this desire to have free time and to go on adventures versus this sense that I need to knuckle down and I need to get things done. So you may hear something or get some information which may seem like it's too much or too chaotic, and you'll have two options. One, you'll want to analyze it and deal with it begrudgingly, or you may want to hide your head in the sand or flee or escape and just not have anything to do with it. Being undecided about that, people will pick up on you kind of being in limbo a little bit, and the anxiety that causes is likely to be picked up by other people. So if you do find yourself torn between two options on Monday, do I deal with this and it's a pain and how am I going to get through this, or it's can I just leave? Then try and deal with what's coming your way, because committing and being decisive and making sense of things, that's what gets a round of applause on Monday, and that's what puts other people at ease, and that's what you kind of expect of yourself. So you have the ability to understand, so make sure you give yourself things to understand, so you don't get frustrated or bored, or that you don't lose this. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Okay, so then on Tuesday, the 17th of August, we've got the moon in Sagittarius. It squares Neptune in Pisces, and it trines the sun in Leo. It sextiles Jupiter in Aquarius. So we've got a lot of positive energy here. We've got big hopes and dreams, big potential for my life and what could be. We've got this desire to prove it, like I can do things and I need to prove that to myself. And you really have the good luck and opportunity to have a great time and to succeed on the day. But there is a big expectation. So if things don't work out 100%, just be kind to yourself. The sun in Leo also quincunxes Pluto in Capricorn. So there's a really strong sense that I matter, and what I do should matter too, and I have the power to change my life. So there's really a big demand on the self and how you appear in the world. And whenever you put yourself under pressure like that, then it can go either way. Either I'm good enough or I'm not good enough. And then remember all this Virgo energy, it's saying, well, analyze every detail. So again, I would and it's the second time I've said this, but I really do think that at the beginning of the week, it's important to be critical in a productive way. But going after yourself is a luxury that you shouldn't indulge in. It's dubious. It's not something that's going to help you. So with all of that on Tuesday, there's this big desire and need to prove to yourself that you're worth it. Okay? And I'm pausing because really, do you need to prove that you're worth it, or have you done that already? Only you can answer it for yourself. But in my opinion, if you're over the age of 25 and you're doing it, you're worth it because you exist. I mean, it's my opinion. If you're being pushed aside on Tuesday, oh yeah, so if someone is ignoring you or you're not getting the recognition that you feel you need, someone's stealing your ideas and taking credit for them, that is really going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And it's going to cause a lot of resentment if you go away from that situation and someone's stolen your thunder, your limelight, okay? We've got Jupiter in Aquarius. So open communication works in your favor. And if you are in a situation like that, believe me, I know that would be awkward. Like you've had this great idea, someone else steals the concept and says, oh yeah, I came up with that. Then if you're in a group full of 20 people saying, hey, actually, I came up with that, and you're lying. I mean, you don't have to say it in such a direct way. You could say, well, actually, the idea came from me, and thanks, buddy, for sharing it with people, but let's, keep it real where the actual notion came from. That can be super awkward, but it's going to work more effectively, and it's going to work more in your favor than if you say nothing and then go home feeling like, oh, people just trample all over me and they take my ideas and there's nothing I can do about it. So the desire to be recognized and to be seen and to be heard, it's not so much about other people, it's about proving to yourself that you're capable of managing your own life well. And not just well, that you're doing really well, okay? So if someone then presents you with an injustice like that, it's important to prove to yourself that you're not going to stand for it, and that, hey, actually, no, this is my thing, and you're not going to take it away from me. That's going to be super empowering, and it's going to work in your favor. Yeah. So you can see that this is like, we're talking, adult feelings here. We're talking like my identity, and it's all very serious, and it seems very important. So if you do have the chance to just take a breath and like relax and let's just enjoy the finer and the most beautiful things in life without this constant self-reprimand thing going on and critical. It's just a bit like too much. It can be a little bit deflating. And if you're going to go after yourself, you don't want other people coming after you, so why would you go after yourself? I mean, it's easily said when you're saying it from this perspective. On Wednesday, but be aware of it, yeah. On Wednesday, the 18th of August, sorry, just an aside, nothing is ever like, you never get a gift or a present without some sort of hook, okay? And the present this week is that you're really able to make sense of everything, but then if you try and make sense of yourself, you get yourself into a whole muddle. So that's really the hook attached, that if you misuse this and you go after yourself, that you can really like be mean. So calm down. Okay, so Wednesday the 18th, the moon goes into Capricorn at 7:58 in the morning. So the moon goes out of Sagittarius, which is fun and looking for adventure, and it goes into the earth sign of Capricorn, which is also quite serious and which is focused on work. And it says, use your energy to pay your bills, basically, get a job, get somewhere in life. It's also pretty tough. So we're getting into even tougher territory here on Wednesday. The Capricorn moon then squares Venus in Libra, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, really, does it make sense that you love that person? Really? It's, again, tough. Squares Chiron in Aries, and it trines Mars and Mercury in Virgo and Uranus in Taurus. Wow, okay. So that energy, it says, it's your responsibility to get on top of your life and to make good decisions and to heal yourself and to make sense of the chaos that's going on around you, and it's all your job. It's kind of like, doesn't open things up for you to say, I need some support or help. And that's really overlooked, I think. We all need emotional support. And yes, you can say to a person, you're a grown-up and you need to do absolutely everything by yourself. But the reason we're social animals is because we all do need help. We all have issues where we need some support and other things where we can help other people. So this kind of energy, it's so relentless and demanding that it really doesn't say, well, pick up the phone and ask for some guidance. So remember that for yourself. And you can get a lot done, but the less pressure you have, you can still get things done, but not suffer in the process. And if you get other people involved, it just diffuses all of this criticism and So I would say try and connect with other people on Wednesday. Mercury in Virgo conjuncts Mars in Virgo. So I will understand. I have to understand. It's like too much. So I don't envy the theologians this week. Because if you don't see God as he really is, then you failed. It's not enough, you see. Mercury in Virgo quincunxes Chiron in Aries. It ups the ante to the extent that understanding and knowledge and critical application of your senses is the be-all and end-all. And if you don't understand it, then something's gone wrong. So just be real on Wednesday that there are certain things in life which are outside of your control, which you can't understand. If you were meant to understand them, you would have found a way, or some other wise people would have understood certain things. But it's the acceptance, I think, that's a nice reminder that clenching and being obsessively focused on getting the answer alone without it's just too much, and it hurts you more than it helps you. Redirecting it is important on Wednesday, being practical, looking at your work ethic and the things that you have to do, the things that you value. Take ownership of everything you do on a daily basis and be proud of those things and keep being productive in those areas and get things done. The amount of pressure that's on you is difficult because it's misleading. Things that seem practical in your life, they may start to look different on this day, and you may start to see the lack in your circumstances, or you may position yourself so that you feel like you're being taken advantage of, like they don't appreciate me at work and no one understands me. That's going to create an impasse between you and other people or your job, and it's going to make cooperation very difficult because it puts you in this space of I am special and no one recognizes that. And again, it brings everything to a screeching halt. And that's a perfect example of where too much criticism is completely toxic and deathly because it stops everything. The best thing you can do for yourself on Wednesday, because I really think it's the focus point of all this criticism and self-criticism of the week, is to be kind to yourself, to support yourself, to love yourself, because I think you're going to feel a little bit roughed up by yourself by the time Wednesday rolls around. You see every flaw in every little thing, and tiny little cracks turn into these giant chasms, and you're really blowing things out of proportion. And it feels hugely oppressive. So deep breath on Wednesday, and try and focus on something technical or something that really requires an overly analytical mind, and stay away from obsessing and going after yourself. On Thursday the 19th, we've got Uranus, the planet of chaos and the unexpected and the miraculous. That goes retrograde until January 2022. The retrogrades are important for the personal planets, Mars, Mercury, Venus. With the outer planets, they're less important because outer planets stay in retrograde for months and months and months. But traditionally, when something goes retrograde, it appears to go backwards. And the symbol of that, something appearing to go backward, means that the energy often takes place inside of you. So Uranus and Taurus in retrograde, the chaos and the desire to change and to create certainty and to really know what is stable and what isn't stable, that now takes place within. So I think because of the shift, Taurus, first of all, being an earth sign, you start to enjoy more, a bigger sense of being cushioned from within. So I think the Uranus retrograde actually helps you come off this wave of self-criticism. The Capricorn moon on Thursday, it trines Uranus and Taurus, conjuncts Pluto in Capricorn, it quincunxes the Sun in Leo, and sextiles Neptune in Pisces. So we've got an expectation to affect great change, life-changing things. It's similar to earlier in the week where it's like, I expect myself to do something earth-shattering. If I want to be good enough, then I have to really affect great change. Now, the simple truth is we can't always affect great change. If you're working in for some company and you're in a 40-hour week, 9 to 5, then you can't reinvent the day every day. You've got a contract and a job role and a job title. So again, it puts the big responsibility of you have to be this wizard and rechange your whole life all the time and reinvent yourself every other second. It can make you feel like, oh, I'm not performing to my own expectations. It's a bit much. So I think Uranus helps there. And again, try and be kind to yourself. The Sun in Leo opposes Jupiter in Aquarius. So that's great because that really connects you with other people and you're not so isolated and you can get out of your own head and the own critical mindset by talking to other people and asking for support, and that becomes much easier. So you're not as uptight on Thursday, it calms down. So you feel more at peace on Thursday and you're less overwhelmed by the amount of information that you're being bombarded with. So you're attracted to creativity and healing and spiritual aspects of life, and you can regain your confidence and your sense of ease by getting away from the self-criticism and by speaking to people and being of service and attending a seminar or getting yourself into the limelight or entertaining people, telling jokes, whatever. Getting out of yourself is a really good idea on Thursday. It will really bring up the mood. And you get off your own back by doing that. On Friday, the 20th of August, we've got the moon in Capricorn forming a quincunx with the Sun in Leo. That really supports you working and getting something done, but in a fun way, not in a like you must work way. Mercury in Virgo trines Uranus and Taurus. So that's interesting because you are less shaken by things that don't make sense. The moon enters Aquarius at 10:49 in the morning. The Aquarius moon then trines Venus in Libra, conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, and it sextiles Chiron in Aries. So you have a much greater appreciation for other people and you feel naturally more connected. You feel far less isolated. And because you're less isolated, the kind of critical voice is kind of diffused a little bit, and it's supplemented by other lighter, more positive voices. Because the tendency this week is for you to talk to yourself in a way that you would never use to talk about another person. And the way we often describe ourselves and the way we go after ourselves, you would never apply that to someone in your life. Oh, you say, I didn't do this again and I'm just not good. And like, you would never say that to your niece or your friend, but you do it to yourself. So getting some other opinions in there this week is really important. You can have a lot of fun at work and you can be really productive and have a good time while you're doing it. You're able to cut through conflicting info on Friday and get to the crux of what needs to be done. And that's really the key of and that's the really golden thing about this ability to focus. So you can cut through all the nonsense and get to the truth with real things. It's important to remember that and to use it. So it's a good day for business deals or collaborations. Music, philosophy, or metaphysical teachings may be of interest to you on Friday. And kind of the thinking there is also when the student is ready, the teacher appears, because you are ready to learn and to open up and to take on board what other people are saying. You may even hear or learn something that helps you solve a problem or that gives you the final piece of the puzzle. Asking for help is good. So if you're on the fence about that on Friday, really, you'll get what you're asking for. You'll get support, and it'll be a nice opportunity to connect with people. On Saturday, the 21st, we've got the Aquarius moon squaring Uranus and Taurus. It sextiles Chiron in Aries, it quincunxes Mars in Virgo, and quincunxes Mercury in Virgo. Okay, a lot. So the moon is constantly being bombarded this week by a lot of energy. And it feels like the little guy against the world, you know? So don't position yourself, me alone, criticizing myself on my island. I'm okay. I don't need to figure out everything. I have faith that I will learn in future, and I get to talk to other people. It's really important to just go back to simple basics like that. The Aquarius moon sextiles Chiron in Aries. Yep. Mars in Virgo trines Uranus in Taurus. So something unexpected is likely to happen on Saturday. And I realized that a lot of people watch these horoscopes, and that these horoscopes are for all signs of the zodiac, okay? So I'm saying that something unexpected happens on Saturday. So is everyone going to have something unexpected happen on Saturday? Not necessarily, but there's the potential for some really big news to come into your life. So if you're already kind of set up for some big news to come into your life to change everything around and to really open things up for you, then that breakthrough of that energy, it's most likely to appear in your life on Saturday the 21st. So it's the kind of energy that really is so chaotic that it turns your life upside down. So it could be like falling madly in love with someone new. You know, that completely ruins your schedule, because then you're just thinking about this new person. Or it could be something unwelcome, like bad news, like a big bill that you get and you're like, oh, how am I going to pay this bill? So it's a big upheaval that comes in externally and that really rearranges your viewpoint, so that you reconsider everything. So it's super interesting that the whole week you've been like this little meaning-making machine, super critical, and now on Saturday something happens that you couldn't even have planned for. And that to me really makes sense, because that follows a natural rhythm of life. The things we sit in bed about at 3 in the morning and we worry, 99% of those things never happen. And then the things that really are life-changing, they usually come in without any kind of warning. So it's kind of like astrology echoing life here with the way this works, because you can see everything the whole week and you think you're so knowledgeable and you put so much pressure on yourself, and then something blindsides you on Saturday that, wow, I've had my head in a book all week, and I also could have been looking up because there's something happening. So the warning is that don't navel gaze and become obsessed with one little detail. Instead, be realistic about your life and what could change. So it colors, so the news really does change your perspective. So try and be open-minded with that, and be willing to do things differently as a result. If you do get some news or hear something that you don't like on Saturday, do expect to be thrown a little, to be thrown for a bit of a loop, okay? So give yourself time to get your bearings, to adapt, and to look at the moment as something new that you need to kind of grow into. But don't use the criticism of the entire week to say, well, you should have been aware of this and you should have expected it and you should be prepared for this. Why aren't you? Because that's really going to knock your confidence. So again, continue to be nice to yourself. But I really like this week because it's almost like a life lesson. It's like, don't be so sure of yourself. And especially if you're looking at all the detail, then you can never really see the bigger picture. Plus, you're not in control of your life. Certain things are going to happen that you couldn't have planned for. It's kind of a nice lesson to tell all of us to back off a bit and not to be so like certain of ourselves and what life is all about. It's like a steel bear trap, you know? It like opens up again and it's like, go with it instead of labeling every little thing. So it's saying a lighter touch when it comes to yourself is much more appropriate than being heavy-handed and judgmental. and not just about you, about life. So if you are, sorry, I'm really like, it's just coming through me as I'm talking, and it makes sense, because if you're mean to yourself, if you have the capacity to, like, if you train yourself to be really horrible to yourself, it's like, oh, look at your skin, it's so unpleasant. And you really like practice being mean to yourself, then you're going to be mean in other areas of your life. You're going to use that skill to be mean to other people and everything. So the message is, don't be so certain of what's wrong with you. And if you then back off yourself, you're not going to be as mean to life, because you're not going to be so labely and judge it all. And then because you're more hands off, you give life the opportunity and the chance to grow on its own and to surprise you in ways that you couldn't have controlled. That's very deep. Sunday, the 22nd of August, we've got a full moon in Aquarius at 2:02 in the afternoon. Love it. Full moon, the moon really kind of lets go. Aquarius is about information and other people and thinking about other people. But this is amazing because the Aquarius full moon, it actually conjuncts Jupiter in Aquarius. And Jupiter is the lucky planet. So having the full moon sit right on top of Jupiter, this big expansive energy, because the moon is so fully lit up, it kind of lights up Jupiter even more, and there's really the potential for good fortune and communication and service and learning. So I'll make a separate video on the full moon in Aquarius. I'll go into more detail. But that energy in itself is big. So there'll be a lot of information floating around. There'll be a lot of ideas, a lot of abstract thinking. It's very cerebral. Mars in Virgo trines Uranus and Taurus. And this is nice now because there are so many ideas floating around. It gives Mars a lot of info and material to work with. So Mars is like in heaven with this. And you'll really be able to make sense of things very clearly and appropriately on Sunday. Especially things that haven't made sense in the past. The sun enters Virgo at 11:35 in the evening. So we're moving into Virgo season now. The moon goes into Pisces at 2:43 in the afternoon. So the moon in Pisces is in a water sign. It's very abstract in its thinking as well. It's not cerebral as much, it's more spiritual. So rather than the professor, it's the monk, I would say. So it connects you with all the spiritual, unseen, kind of other side kind of things, your ancestors, your guides, your angels. The Pisces moon then also quincunxes Venus in Libra. So the most beautiful notion of what spirituality could look like is accessible to you. When I first got into spirituality, I did a lot of guided meditations, and what I really liked was someone guiding me through places on the other side, like their version of paradise or a safe beach, or let's go to the Pleiades and walk around and see all the blue light. And I was really, it was really important for me to have almost concrete spiritual experiences like that, for me to build some sort of a rapport with it, if you know what that, if that makes sense. Like, you know, when you meet a new person, you want to go to a restaurant to see how you get on in a restaurant, then you want to go to a park and walk around in the sunshine and see if you can chat. It's a part of getting to know each other, right? So for me, because I'm a Virgo myself, so everything has to be just exhausting, I'm telling you. The spirituality thing, I was kind of like, it wasn't something that came very naturally to me. And when I was told to get into it, I really wanted to have every kind of experience that I could, so I could build this relationship, which I knew nothing about. So going on those guided meditations, and what's coming to mind while I'm talking about this is also things like shamanic journeying. For me, those things were really important because they're almost like spiritual memories, you know, like sitting on a beach and seeing your spirit guide come out of the fog and connecting with your spirit guide and stuff. I really like things like that, and they're essential like dates towards building a spiritual relationship. So if you're starting out, or if it doesn't come naturally to you either, then try those things. They really work very well in my experience. Okay, so on Sunday, I think there's going to be a lot of philosophizing and a lot of theorizing going on. So a lot of abstract talking and thinking. So if you need to use your intellect to work through a complex issue, do it today, because you'll see answers where you didn't see anything before. And you may still be occupied with dealing some sort of news or circumstance from the day before, but it's a good time to also think about the bigger picture. So again, trying to get that balance between detail and the bigger picture. It's a great time for romantic relationships and to get to know the other person better through open and honest conversations, even intimate conversations. Because, you know, if you're an abstract thinker and you like living in the realm of fantasy a little bit, if you're talking to a partner and you're coming up with some sort of, you know, some story, like as a joke, and the other person's like, well, that never happened, and the joke goes down like a lead balloon, then you understand that you don't really get each other on that level. It's important. So creativity is heightened and supported, but so is the need to escape if things get tough. So it's still that too much of a good thing. It's, I can't take this. Be nice to yourself. Try and only bite off what you can chew this week, but do make sense of things which have eluded you in the past, because you are able to make meaning. But just be, you know, be nice. There, Greg. Everything's fine. You're doing your best. It's fine. Don't go after yourself. I mentioned this to someone in a reading I did recently, but when I was I had a therapist years ago, and she said to me, Greg, if you're going to beat yourself up, don't use a stick, use a feather. Yeah, and she was right. I mean, it sounds, you know, how it sounds, but it's important. So I hope you have a very analytical, insightful, clear week, but I also hope that you manage to have a good time and to enjoy yourself. If you would like a personal reading with me, then please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on Book Your Reading to audio reading with me. In my personal readings, I use astrology, tarot, numerology, and my intuition. And I look at all of those things to really tap into your energy and to give you some answers to things that you may be working through or unclear about, like life purpose, vocational aptitudes, relationships, spiritual development, travel, finance, anything at all really. So if you would like a personal reading with me, then do get in touch with me via the website, gregoryscott.com. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. I hope you have a fabulous week. I was just thinking, it's been a while since I've made a personal update video. I think I should do that soon, because I've been here a few months now, and I might do that. So if you want to watch that kind of update stuff, sometimes I do it on YouTube, but usually when the mood strikes me, I go on Instagram Live and do it there, and then sometimes I save the video from Instagram Live and I upload it to YouTube. So if you want to watch personal stuff, then join me on YouTube, on Instagram. It's Gregory Scott 444. Yeah. And that's it. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining me. Check out my daily tarot readings here on this channel and the special videos I do on the new moon and the full moon. And I will make a video on the full moon in Aquarius on Sunday. Have a lovely week, and I'll speak to you soon.